In this video, I'm going to give a brief overview of McLaw Software Solutions' Concordancer tool. As its name suggests, we designed this tool to create the ESV exhaustive concordance for Crossway. If you're not familiar with concordances, a concordance is basically a reference work that is an index to a text so that you can look up a surface form or a lemma that occurs in that text and see how it fits in to each of the contexts in which it occurs. In this case, we're looking at the English word cheer, surface form, and how it fits into the 5 contexts in which it occurs in the ESV. Over on the left, we see biblical references. So you could have page numbers in concordances that are not biblical concordances. And here, all of the occurrences of the word cheer, which are signified by C with an underline, are lined up vertically. Now that's called a quick presentation. It's very good for digital displays where we have lots of room to the left and right. We can scroll if we wish and see all the words in that long verse of Ecclesiastes 2:3. But in a print text, you have a limited amount of space. And that limited space is shown on the screen here by these black boxes. That's the amount of words we can fit on the page, or the amount of words we have chosen to fit in the column in each of these cases. Now, before the age of computers, to pick these contexts took a team of people thousands and thousands of hours. In fact, if we were to measure that amount of time, it would be more appropriate to speak of person years than person hours. But with the advent of computers, it became possible to create concordances very quickly with little human effort. However, the problem is that such automatic concordance production doesn't always take into account the window of context that a human would most like to see, that would be most helpful for a human to see in such a presentation. And in designing this tool, we really wanted to combine the virtues of both of these approaches, to be able to use computers to create a concordance quickly, but to be able to use humans to create a concordance context windows that would be ideal. And we did this using especially natural language processing algorithms as well as machine learning that adapts to the kinds of windows that a human chooses working through the text. Now I'm going to switch right now from this concordance preview to the verse preview that is the main panel that is used in this tool for someone selecting these windows for the concordance. Now on the screen you'll see the verse Jeremiah 1:5 repeated 8 times. Now it's repeated 8 times because there are 8 keywords that would appear in the concordance. Some of the words do not, because they're grammatical words, they're pronouns and things like that. They're listed separately in the concordance. But here we have formed, womb, new, born, consecrated, appointed, prophet, nations. And looking at this one verse, if we were to work through each of these examples, we want to pick the ideal window of context. Now, a few things have been done on the screen visually to help with this process. Not only is the verse repeated over and over again so that the words line up perfectly and it's easy to compare one line to the next, it's also possible to look at these colors and see what's the maximum window that we can fit on the page given the specifications of the book to be produced. So this purple before here matches up with the purple of and. This kind of peachy color for I matches up with the peach of you. If we look down at another example, we can see even more colors. We have red, light blue, dark blue, matching red, light blue, dark blue over here. And it's possible to adjust these windows. So presumably in this example right here, we don't want to have you, comma, at the beginning of our context. It's not particularly helpful. We more likely want something like, before you were born, I consecrated. It would be great if we could fit you in, but the print column simply won't allow it here. As you can see, that this light blue consecrated matches light blue before. Now, when I made that click, you'll see that the box turned black. That's because this change has now been accepted by the computer. All the other boxes are red because these are the algorithmic predictions that the program has made, what it thinks that I'm going to choose as I work through the text. Now, the machine learning part of this tool is really cool because as you work through more and more verses, the algorithm gets better and better at predicting accurate windows or windows that you're going to like. So we look up here at the beginning, we'll see For formed, womb, and new, it's selected this first clause, which is actually, I think, the window that we want in each of these three cases. We can't get very far into the next clause, and I'm not sure that we even want to if we could. Now, we've already picked the context for this line right here, but what about the next one? Before you, I consecrated you. You could go all the way to appointed, but we probably want to stop at you, where that semicolon is. And the next one, I appointed you a prophet to the nations. We could actually have this entire clause here, I appointed you to the nations. You'll notice that if I click, or I can even tap using a touch screen, if I tap on a word to the left, it expands sort of to the maximum window width there. And I think we want that window for each of these three words, appointed, prophet, nations, that occurs in this third clause of Jeremiah 1:5. And now that these windows have been selected, it's easy to see kind of a nice little pattern. And you can see how this vertical display is really efficient, because in the first three cases we really wanted the first clause, in the next two cases we wanted the second clause, or as much of it as we could get. And in the last three cases we wanted this final clause here. Now this is a really efficient way to move through the text, to consider all of the words that will occur in the concordance in a particular verse all at once. So that you only have to read the verse one time, and you're able to pick very similar windows for different words that occur in the same clause. But it's also possible to think about, if we go back to this concordance preview, to think about all the occurrences of a given word. So we can find another word other than cheer. What about born? I can filter through all of the surface forms here. I double click on born, and it pulls up all of the occurrences here. Takes a second to load them. You'll see here we have some much longer verses, more context given to the left and right outside of these windows, and the biblical references are way over here on the left. But if we go from the top, we can see, to Enoch was born Arad, and Arad fathered. To Seth also a son was born, and he called his name. Face of the land and daughters were born to them. These black windows have already been selected by a human annotator for being ideal for each of these contexts. It's also possible to sort these in various ways. Right now they're presented in canonical order, and it's possible to change them, edit them right here. We can scroll down a little bit and find some that haven't been selected. If we wanted to work in this fashion, we could say Dan, their ancestor who was born to Israel. Like maybe that's the window that we want for this verse right here. It could be beneficial, especially if we sort these in different ways to work this way. So for example, we can come down here and sort first by part of speech on the left, and then by the surface form on the left. So it's going to consider the word to the left of the keyword, what its part of speech is, and then what its surface form is. We click sort, and then they get rearranged like this. So if we do it like this, we can then see all the verbs, so sort of verb phrases, be born, were born, was born. These get paired together, and it might be more efficient to work in this way, or to check our work in this way, making sure we've been consistent with our selection of windows in various contexts. Well, I hope this brief presentation gives you a good idea of what this tool can do and how it can be used to work very quickly, turning those person years back into person hours to produce high quality concordance. Thanks for watching.